Well, we all find ourselves doing the balancing act in life at one time or another, and sometimes it really is difficult to try to balance it all. Well, my next guest can help with that. Eric Thompson has written this book. It is appropriately titled The Balancing Act, First Things First. It's what he calls a tremendous self-help teaching tool that will help you manage your home, your job, and even your spiritual life. Eric joins us this morning as part of our book author series. Good morning to you, Eric.
Good morning, Danielle.
It really is a balancing act for all of us. Where did the idea for the book come from?
Well, Danielle, I truly believe this book was divinely inspired for me to write because so many of us are having challenges how to balance it all, how to balance their faith and their work with their home. So what we did, we put some biblical wisdom and some practical applications in to help the reader balance an unbalanced life.
Let's talk about those practical applications. Was it impractical before?
No, I would say it wasn't impractical before. My wife and I, before we received this wisdom and revelation on how to balance it all, we believe the answers were all around us. We just didn't know what they were or how to apply them. So we loaded up this book with what we found to be working in our house and friends of our house and all of that, and to help the reader transition from a balancing act to a balancing process.
You know, and it's great because we talked about this off camera. I have 3 boys. You have 3 boys. We know the challenges of balancing it all, especially with boys in the household. And so I'm really interested in these practical applications. Walk us through them.
Well, there's some. It's like how to set order in the house. And because we recognize that everything hinges on the order. If order's in the house, then orders will transition outside of the home. We talked about how to say no, because if you say yes
that's a hard one.
Absolutely. If you say yes to every opportunity and every invitation, then your house become unbalanced. And we talk about the what about me syndrome. The what about me syndrome, it's when you had really transitioned your core existence to the hands of someone else.
You know, I do want to focus on that what about me syndrome as well, because as women, and men do a lot in the household, don't get me wrong, but for some reason, women, we feel like we do have to balance it all. And I think we may take a lot of the burden on ourselves unnecessarily, maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit. But we do tend to forget about the what about me because we're so busy focusing on the what about we,
Absolutely.
Meaning focusing on our husband, focusing on our kids, focusing on our job. But is there anything wrong with this?
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong.
Okay.
I mean, we really think the spirit of this book is talking about family unit.
Okay.
But we got to understand, even in the family unit, we are a group of individuals who have our own ideas, have our own identity. And what we did, we put this wonderful teaching technique in about restoring the you and you that will help you to get that what about me syndrome, talking about treat yourself, pamper yourself, record that CD that's been in your heart because you didn't have the time to do it because you've always been taking care of the write that book, that's all that you've been wanting to write, but you've been taking care of other people. Just treat yourself, and that will help you with the what about me syndrome.
But you know, don't you think that when you're talking about the balancing act and trying to balance it all, that burnout can really be a big issue in all of this?
Absolutely. Burnout can be but one thing about burnout, we recognize the root of burnout is doing too much. And what we've done, and before burnout comes on, there's always signs that burnout is approaching. And we have dedicated a whole chapter into identify what those signs are.
What do you hope readers take away from the book, Eric?
Actually, I want the reader to understand that it's possible to work outside at home and have a fantastic marriage. It's possible to raise children and have your house organized. And lastly, I want the readers to look at this book as a practical balance beam as they navigate and walk through every areas of their life.
Ooh, I love it. Well, listen, high five to the possibilities,
Thank
okay?
You so
All
much.
right, Eric, and thank you so much for sharing it with us on the show today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Pleasure having you. And once again, the book is called The Balancing Act, First Things First. For more information on the book or Eric, please visit the website godpleaser.net.